Hey everyone, Joe here. Welcome to the Sunday Slog. Today, I'm filming this ahead of basically a really busy Saturday. So, I'm just going to play around with some watercolors. So, here we go, and I'll just kind of talk. So the watercolors, I prefer Daniel Smith. I like how rich they are, you know. Sorry, I'm talking about my mouthful. Yeah, I had to give my palette a little spritz. So there's a lot of dirty colors here, but that's because the last time I used it, I didn't clean it off. But let's see, let's just kind of play around. Let's go wet and wet. Give the old sketchbook a spritz. I've got it anchored down with some clips, and I just want to play around. I haven't, I want to kind of prepare for some summer. I like to get out in the summer and paint plein air, which basically it means painting outside from life, from nature. And let's see if we can kind of play around with just some ideas and like let the water dance a little bit. Let the paint move where it wants to move. Play with some colors. So the yellow I use in my on this tiny little palette. This is kind of my bring along sketchbook palette sometimes that I'll bring along. It's basically just Hansa yellow. I've got, I think because I had it, I think it's cerulean blue. I think I'm going to eventually switch that out for cobalt blue. Let's put a little in there just because we can. Get a little bit more of those greenish tones. See what they do. Take some from this water drip that's down this big bead of water. See where that goes. But so yeah, Hansa yellow. Then I've got I think this is opera. I really like how bright or pink this is, and it's kind of fun mixing it in because it is so bright. Let's see what happens with this. Smush that around. I'm just playing with the water drips. Just kind of get my mind prepared for the day a little bit. A lot of stuff going on today. So first thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be helping. I guess facilitate. sounds so. Facilitate sounds way too formal, but I'm going to be helping people out by making Valentine's Day cards. I'm working at a local grocery store, and I'm just going to be kind of there. Mainly, I think what I'm going to be doing is making sure that the cocoa doesn't run out, and that there's enough cookies for people to decorate, and enough, if somebody wants a card, they get to pick which one they want, and they get to then color it in. So, should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. The grocery store has a nice little space for like seating, kind of like a little cafe area, and I think people kind of are going to have some fun today. So that goes from 10 to 1, and then after that, I've got a show opening. So there's a neat little local gallery called Studio Nez. And the woman that runs it really has kind of it's nice. It's a real like pop art, street art flair for everything. She does these really neat cereal boxes, like cartoon cereals, and they're all kind of doing their own thing, having fun. And I think that's probably like a really underlying theme of the gallery, at least from what I can see. I don't know, she hasn't said this to me in general, but it's fun. Art is fun, and you should be able to have some fun stuff, on your wall. Embrace it. I mean, art's one of those things that really you spend for your entertainment. If you love something like that, you spend the money once, and then hopefully you get to enjoy it. But then any of your family members get to enjoy it too. And then so if you're passing it down, it's something that basically once you look at like your daily the daily cost for entertainment, it's probably one of the least expensive things that you can do. I mean, you think about, okay, let's say you read a book, $10. How many days does it take you to read it? Maybe 5-6 days if you're like reading it on a consistent basis and you're spending a lot of time reading it. So let's say 10 days. So 10 days, about $1 a day. Go to see a movie, you're spending $10 for about 2 hours. So if you buy some art, let's say you spend $500. Well, every day, if let's say $500, divide that over the course of a year, 365, 2 years, all of a sudden it becomes 1 year, a couple of bucks, 2 years, it's that much cheaper, and so eventually what's happened is your entertainment value has been reduced to pennies a day. And if you really love something and you really want it to be like part of your life and every day, like it brings you joy, then 25 cents a day or less, right? Less than 25 cents a day over the course of your life, pretty cheap, pretty worthwhile. Okay, so let's see. I'm playing around with so that was Opera. This is Cobalt Violet. And when I'm painting plein air, I think Cobalt Violet's one of those interesting colors that really makes the greens pop. It's an interesting how when you kind of put it next to a green, and it'll give you kind of a really nice neutral. It is a what do you call it? I can't think of what it's called right now. Where it'll granulate. Oh yeah, where it will granulate. It's called granulation. So I love it when you can't think of a word and then you say it because you really do know it in your heart. So I think that ends up being kind of a neat purple. I think something happened with mine though, where it's separated and there's a lot more gum Arabic in it than you'd really want. So that's why I put it into this travel thing, so I can play around with it. I think I need to get a new tube though. Okay, so another kind of purple that I have is Daniel Smith makes it. It's called Moon Glow, and it's really like I think there's three colors involved in it, and it's like there's a little bit of ultramarine. There's some red in there, and I can't think of what the other thing is. I don't have my tubes near me, but on the side of a tube, it'll tell you what colors the color you are using is made from, and so you'll know if it's just a solid color. Like for instance, Hansa Yellow is just Hansa Yellow. But and sometimes too, you can really know if something's a mix because it's got a name, a specific name, right? So that's Moon Glow. What is this one? I don't even remember. This might be diazoning purple. So this might be a real bright, real dark purple. Yeah. So that's diazoning purple. I like that a lot as a real dark tone because you can really get some amazing like blacks using this purple when you start mixing it in with your other colors. I tend not to want to mix more than 3. Because just to not risk any kind of mud forming, but we'll see. Because I think on a sketchbook page like this, multiple things could become mud, just because they're all blended together. You get puddles like this that are like, what's going on with that thing? Right? Let's just kind of play around, move things around. So the other things I got in my palette. Let's drop. This is Permanent Green 1. I think this is Daniel Smith, but it's possible that it is a Holbein. But you can see I wanted some really bright colors. I like bright colors in my work, so I wanted to play around with this palette where it's really made up of super brights. So you've got the super bright green. That's why I think the blue is something that I'm kind of trying to find the right blue for it. I like how it bleeds in though, how that bleeds together. And then you got the Hansa Yellow, which is a nice bright yellow. Let's come through with this mixed, a lot of water in there. let it bleed. Let them blend together. Let's get some opera. I just like watching it, like how they kind of come together. And when you're moving around aimlessly on a page, it can be kind of fun to see how they blend together. Let's come back with some more of that yellow. See what happens here. Now, because I have because my sketchbook here is angled, things will generally drift down the page. If you're playing with your watercolors on a flat surface, you can kind of get, you can play around a little bit more with how the water tension moves from one zone to another, depending on where's the water, right? So you've got like a dry zone, like a relatively dry zone, and then you kind of, let's pull in some. Well, that's not going to be obvious, but whatever. Pull in some of this. The water is going to kind of push down gravity-wise and push into those lower zones where there's less water tension on the surface. So okay, let's try it with a better example. I haven't dipped into my cadmium orange. I think that's cadmium orange. I got it written on the side. So let's kind of give this. So it's kind of a little bit lower. Water's really starting to pull into the page, and then let's grab that bright opera pink and put a couple blobs on here, and we'll see it'll even against gravity. I think it'll start to go up the page a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, you can kind of see it. Gravity wins. Put some more water in there, but that's how you get things like blooms, where you've got too much water in a zone. I think it's gonna work. Yeah. That's one of the things I love about watercolor, is that, it doesn't always do what you want it to do. Let's put it up here, and you can kind of see a little bit better maybe how it drifts. It's gonna follow the water. Comes out. But yeah, I think another thing I like about watercolor is you really don't need a lot to get yourself out in the field, playing around. Oh, I think this is, I put some of these colors up above here, I put extra. So this is, I think, Lunar Black, which is like, has this blue, it has a blue mixed in with their black. And it's a kind of a granulating thing. The other thing that's up here, I think this is Bloodstone Genuine, and this is should really granulate. So you're gonna get, I think you're gonna get some real, as it picks up the texture of the page. So this is smooth paper, so you're not gonna get as much of a granulation, but you can see how there's the speckleness that happens. That's because of the pigment that they're using, which, like I said, I think this is Bloodstone Genuine. So it's basically ground up bloodstone. And when it comes in, they basically mix it with the gum arabic, and then you add the water to it, and that melts the gum arabic. And then as gravity takes hold, these little bits of pigment will kind of drop into the zones. So if you were using a cold press or a rough paper, you're going to get much more of a granulation effect. So I'm just kind of playing around. I think that's the thing, that's one of the nice things about a Sunday doodle, SLOG, Sunday sketchbook vlog, is just playing. So here, this is some of that moonstone again, where it's kind of a purple. Let's see if I can tease out. Sometimes when this granulates, you get to really see the red comes out of it. And you get these kind of interesting pinks. Let's see, let's put a couple blobs of really thick paint. Just let it drip down. See what happens. Here's where you can see it. If you can see it really kind of move up where things go. It's going to follow the water. couple more. Let's put a big blob over here. See what happens on top of this yellow. I think watercolor, I want to say it's forgiving, but that's not really true. I don't know. Because you can't paint over things. So you really want to start with light shades, light colors. But then as you move through your piece, work with darker and darker tones. And because of that, I think, like you'll see as we get into more warmer weather. Right now it's 18 degrees outside, and I don't know if you realize this, but water becomes a solid when it's freezing temperatures. I don't know if you knew that, but you know, it's one of those things. And I think people say you can add vodka into your water to help it not freeze. But the other thing about working outside is that it's cold and you tend to freeze too. So, because our body is made up of a lot of water. All right, let's see. I want to play around with, let's go with that. Let's pull that blue back in just because we can. See what happens with that one. Put some blue over here next to these greens and yellows. Let's get some blobs of water come off of this brush. See what happens. Boom. Get some interesting greens happening. Here's where you can kind of get that little bit of a neutral that shows up. See, you can get some really interesting abstract patterns that happen with this. Like look what's happening here with that, where it's bleeding into the opera. Let's see if we can get that reverse of that to play around to happen. Big blob of pink up here. Let's get some more water. Some big drip. Big drips coming down. Let's come into this and see what happens when that opera comes really down. Boom. What happens to it as it flows through. Just kind of playing. I think this is how this is how I created my piece called The Sleeper Awakens, which has a very Cthulhu-ish feel to it. And but it's rainbow. It's like a rainbow, demon awakening. And yeah, that's kind of neat how that's happening. Let's follow that bead down. Trace it, let's make it do its own. Let's make it move, because it's going to follow the path of the water, right? I guess that's the thing that I haven't played around with watercolor in about a year. For a while, it was. Can you go outside? Can you not go outside? When is the thing? But for me personally, I had some health issues and was having trouble walking for more than a block. Still having trouble with that, but it's definitely getting better. Definitely improving, which is great. Made some lifestyle diet changes, and body's kind of like saying, "Hey, this is a good idea. Keep up. Keep at it." So this summer, I think I'm going to be able to do some, get back out and go get some plein air going. Because I really like being outside, and soaking up the vitamin D. Let's see what happens when I add some yellow in here. It's going to probably mix with that moon glow and make a little bit of a brownish. This is where you might end up with some mud, right? As you can see, I used a lot of pigment when I mixed it in. So let's see if we can get it to move. Look, there must have been a drip of oil or something on the page because it beat it up funny. And that could just be from, my hand. I did smear the page. I was trying to make this thing trying to flatten it out a little bit, stretch it a little bit. But so next week, some of my plans are I'm going to do I'm going to show you how I make my convention PC portraits. I'm going to show you how to draw your player character portrait for Dungeons and Dragons. And I think I might actually, one of my plans was too, is to kind of say, hey, here's, if you want to go outside and draw or, you know, paint or whatever in the winter, here's the things you need. So how, you know, what's your dress, what are you bringing with you? What stuff will make it so you can actually do it? You know, obviously you need your art materials, but you might need things like a blanket. Bring yourself a chair to sit on, unless you know where you're going to go. And then underneath the chair, you might want to have some kind of, that's where you want to bring the blanket into effect. So you sit on the blanket, gives you a little bit more insulation for the derriere. And you know, see how things go. Work from there. You know, how do your materials handle the cold? But another thing I was thinking about too, I really had a lot of fun with the you know, the daily drawing challenge, and I think what I want to do is, and that's why I brought out these paints today. I think I'm going to probably try and do something where I say, okay, let's. What happens when we do 10 minutes of painting? And I think I'm probably going to stick with, you know, something that doesn't require a lot of cleanup, doesn't require a lot of prep, and that's why. So I think I'm going to do some watercolors and gouache in like a 10-minute format. For myself to kind of build up my, you know, habit, and also to, you know, the more you play with something, I think the better you're going to get at it. So that's why sometimes they say like, oh, you got to paint 1,000 paintings to get better at painting. Well, nobody said that every painting has to be like 20-30 hours. So let's do, you know, I'm going to try some 10-minute a day. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know what you think about taking 10 minutes a day and breaking out the watercolors. I have my plein air watercolor set is a much bigger. It's about 16 colors, so it's still a limited palette, but you can build every color with. You know, you can build a wide range of colors with it. So let's see. I want to add some. Let's think about this as a design, right? Let's start to think about this as a design. Let's put some. Let's bring some of those darker tones to this bottom here. So I've got that purple. Let's come in with this and see what happens as we let it kind of flow. I don't want this video to be too long. Yesterday's video, whoa, ended up being about an hour. Just because of the nature of how long things take, right? But it was my first time like really editing a long format video, and so the actual creation of it, you know, took about an hour. But then the editing took about an hour. The uploading, well, I should say not the uploading. So the rendering of the file, so that it makes sure that like all of the stuff is blended together and it becomes a unified MP4 file. I think that took about an hour. Then I needed to upload it. That took about a little bit over an hour. so a 1 hour video ended up being like 4 hours, which I guess is fine. It's how long it takes, right? It's just a matter of like seeing like, okay, is this? Well, I'm still kind of trying to catch up from like not losing, because it was fun. Basically being at Winter Fantasy for 6 days, not able to really create any videos. So I'm kind of trying to catch up, catch up and get myself a little bit of a buffer. That was some Moon Glow. This is that diazonine purple, which, like I said, I really love. I like it in acrylics too. Sometimes with acrylics, I'll use this as the black instead of black. You really can get some kind of interesting, you know, contrasts without flattening it out. Sometimes what black does is it will flatten it out. Now for my commercial stuff, my artwork that I use with Threadless, I like the black because of the nature of like how it interacts with all the other colors and stuff, and it has like a comic booky feel. But like for my bigger paintings, I really want to have, you know, the black, I've used the black a couple of times, but it tends to flatten. It tends to Like you can't get any darker. So what happens is like your lights and darks kind of interact in a strange way. You know, you can't, it's hard to pull back from that. Even with blending and making it grays, there's something about the flatness. Alright, let's kind of let's get some more drips coming down. I have these. Come up. I got them. Boop, 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 boop. That moon glow back in here. Like some of these zones are going to be a mess. I'm going to end up with this big puddle line here. Alright. Kind of grows, push it up, and it'll come back down. Let's get that green up at the top. Let's have that pull down into here too. Big blobs of green. Water coming through. Dragging it around through some of these other blobs. Add some of that blue to that green so we can darken it up a little bit. Some darker blue, darker greens. Put some of that blue in there. And I think if this is cerulean, it's a more granulating blue than cobalt. Cobalt's nice because it's pretty transparent. Really overlay it on top of stuff. Alright, let's go on to pink. I'll make it mix with that green to be a darker tone. It's going to come in kind of purpley with that purpley with the cerulean. Really be really bright. Brightness. And let's get this other color, put some more yellow in here because this is kind of a focal point. I mean, really, I kind of was just randomly moving stuff around. But let's play with that. I'm going to do something that I think I want to do something shortly that's going to really make colors go weird. Well, let's hit it with one spray of. Let's see what happens there. It kind of moves really. That's getting a little muddy. All right. So let me know what you think. And then, oh, that's kind of interesting how that's happening. I think I need to just let this dry. I must have had some oil on my hands here. I use beard oil, so sometimes if I go like this, scratch and then smear the page, there's oil drips. That's nice and safe when you're using watercolor. But look at that, that's going to be interesting. I think I am going to have to, I don't know, I guess just kind of pause and let this thing just dry to see what happens. I do want to add some more diazonine in here. I want this to be darker. Some real darks. Let's put a little bit of it up here too. See what happens. The dark flows through stuff. Right. A little random. Let my brush dance across the page. Pull this up into here. There's some like a textural thing that's happening too that I kind of like with this. A little abstract. Let's put some moon glow up here too. See what happens with it. See, I do think something's wrong with my Cobalt Violet. I'll probably switch that out. Probably have to take it out, squeeze it all out of the tube and remix it or something. Use it in the studio somewhere and just keep it as a big blob of paint to reactivate. All right, one last thing. Let's see. This is kind of the focal point. I got some black up in here. Let's put some of the black diazonine purple. Put some of that up here too. Put some of it, so we get kind of a mixed of a. I guess this kind of look like this little bit of an X design, right? Some big blobs of water, moving it, getting it to move. I could hit this with my hair dryer, but one of the things that's kind of fun. Let's try this off a little bit. Let's take this bead and move it. Pull it back up into things. Some dots on here so it's not too hard of an edge. That orange kind of pops too. If I want that to be orange there though, let's come up into it. And orange, so let's see what happens when we add some blue over it, because it's the opposite. Do some weirdness. That should dull it down. Some more of that blue. Right. Change the edge of this opera. It's not such a hard edge there. Throw some opera in there. A couple of drops of opera. Pull it up. Just having fun mixing. I guess I kind of lean back when I'm working. I'm thinking about, I can see myself on the monitor, but I tend to move around, I think, based on how my trifocals or bifocals or whatever the hell these glasses do. Let's take some of this color and pull it up in here too, so we can get some. Mix that in, let that drip hit the drips. Hit the drips. Get another little bit of pink in here. Really kind of almost turns into like these rivers of color. Get those to connect. All right. I'm going to leave this. Okay, I'm gonna leave this, and I'm gonna let the. I got my camera above, so I'm gonna let that just kind of watch it. And so at this point, I'm gonna clap so I know when it happens. But at this point, basically what's gonna happen is I think it's gonna go into a little bit of a time lapse as we kind of watch this dry. Let's see how that goes. And I think it should be kind of interesting to watch, because some of these things, as gravity takes hold, should be pretty interesting. So myself, I'm going to be right back, but I think this is going to probably take a half hour or more to go. So I'm just going to let my GoPro just keep going and see how that goes. So hey. And let's try. I'm gonna try something a little different, but let's do the outro and then just basically let you stare at this for the remainder of the video, if you want to. So hey, if you like what I'm doing so far, please be sure to give me a like. Share this with your friends. Subscribe if you're so inclined. I really appreciate it if you like what I'm doing. Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow, where I hope to be showing you how to do a character portrait on a table tent. So it should be kind of fun. I'll be using my my convention materials, so the Inktense pencils and the Molotov black liners. and we'll see what we can come up with. If you have any suggestions on character types you'd like to see, put them in the comments below. Otherwise, what I'm probably going to try and do is roll on the old DMG and pull up some of the stuff. It'll be kind of standard, semi-standard races and stuff for Dungeons and Dragons. So elves, dwarves, gnomes, halflings. But yeah, it'll be kind of fun. See, I don't even know what I'm going to do. So. Thanks a lot, everybody, and let's watch paint dry, because that is exciting. See you tomorrow. Thanks a lot. Bye.